Okay, my name is Brett. That's B-R-E-T. Last is Ficklin. That's F as in Frank, I-C-K-L-I-N. I'm a lieutenant with the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department Traffic Bureau. Today at approximately 2:15, there was a Nissan Pathfinder directly behind me that was in the far right lane going westbound Bonanza that had been stopped at the signal at Bonanza and Eastern. The Pathfinder got a fresh green and started through the intersection when there was a white Mustang that was northbound on Eastern in the far right lane that failed to stop for the red signal for that side of traffic, and that Mustang struck the Pathfinder. Once those two vehicles collided, the Pathfinder continued forward and collided with a 26-year-old mother who was at the northwest corner of the intersection walking with her 5-year-old son and a daughter that's about to turn 2 years old. The mother and her two children were transported to UMC Trauma. The children, fortunately, have non-life-threatening injuries. Unfortunately, the young mother did not survive the collision. The driver of the Pathfinder was also injured in the collision, was transported to Sunrise Trauma, and she also does not have life-threatening injuries. The driver of the Mustang has remained on scene, and we do not believe impairment is a factor at this point. We are fortunate that we have several witnesses that have remained on scene. Plus we have video surveillance from the businesses in the adjoining area that have helped us to come to a conclusion as to what happened here today, and will help us to clear up this investigation.
Talk about the dangers of going through red lights. And all across the valley, people going through red lights everywhere. Talk about the dangers of that and how people should be obeying the law more.
Well, the three main causes that we have people killed on our roadways are speeding, impairment, and failing to yield the right-of-way. And of course, anytime somebody blasts through a red signal or blasts through a stop sign, there's a good chance that there's going to be a collision, and there's a good chance that it's going to be a violent collision. We understand that we all have our things that we have to do. We all have schedules that we try to keep up with. But the important thing to remember is if you can't make it to your final destination if you're involved in a collision, if you get killed in the collision. A lot of people like to pride themselves on being multitaskers. And I tell people all the time that when you're driving a car, that's not a time to be multitasking. When you're in the car, your sole purpose is to be focusing on what you're doing at that time and being aware of not only what you're doing, but being aware of everything around you. And so, especially this time of year, our violent collisions, our fatalities tend to go up this time of year. You know, it's understandable that with the holiday season and with the current circumstances that we're all facing with the pandemic and all, people have a lot of things on their mind. But we would just ask that people focus on, especially when they're on the roadway, that they focus on what they're doing at that time and not try to concentrate on other things, because their life and the life of everybody else around them on the roadway or on the sidewalk may depend on it.
How much of a tragedy is this? I mean, we have the holidays going on right now, and just people doing their normal, everyday things, and this happens.
Well, when you put things in perspective and you look at all the steps that we're doing locally, statewide, nationally for the pandemic, the whole purpose of that is to save lives, is to keep people from getting killed. It's the same thing on the roadway. You know what? The steps that we take, the messages that we send out, the enforcement that my officers and the other jurisdictions do throughout the valley, the whole purpose of that is to make our streets safer, is to help people be aware that you know what, the roadway is a dangerous place. The laws are there based on science. The speed limits that are set on the roadways are based on science. And when you start messing with the science, that's when the problems arise. We're truly looking to save lives, to keep people alive, and to keep people from getting killed on the roadway. And so our message is to people is to be aware of what's going on. Take care of business on the roadway when you need to be taking care of business on the roadway, and look out for other people, whether you're a pedestrian or a driver or a motorcycle rider. We want you to be able to respond and to arrive at the locations that you're supposed to go to. And I share this with speeders all the time. You know what? It's better to arrive late than to never arrive at all.
Do you have a number for measures for this year of what auto-pedestrian fails?
Yeah, to date, this will be 97. This will be our 97th fatal for this year. And the kicker of all of this is every one of those events was preventable. Every single event is preventable. This is something that does not have to happen, but it continues to occur. And so we just need to be cognizant of that and make sure we're doing our part to make sure we're looking out for others.
How long do you expect this intersection to be closed?
Usually in an investigation like this, we anticipate that it'll be closed for about 4 hours. So I had to say that we'll be here at least another 3.
What type of charges could the driver possibly face?
That'll be yet to be determined. We have our fatal investigators out here, and that's yet to be determined based on the full outcome of their investigation. Any other questions? That's again, that'll be in the hands of the fatal investigators. Once they work through the investigation, they'll come to that conclusion.